United. Now, we say effectively, that was at the point maybe a week, 10 days ago, when there were the teams at the table, and he said, right, thanks very much for everyone's interest, but I've decided to go to Manchester United. I know Michael is going to interrupt me in a minute and say, hang on a second, things have changed at one North London club in the last few days, and therefore could that change the destination of Brayan Mbeumo? He has 1 year left on his Brentford contract, but the club do have an additional year, so therefore it's effectively a 2-year deal that would get Brayan Mbeumo out of his contract. We know that there is interest. And we know that Brentford want around £60+ million for the wide man who's been there since 2019. His numbers stack up, very consistent with what he does, brilliant relationships with every single person he's been at Brentford. Ivan Toney, Said Benrahma, Ollie Watkins. He's been a consistent force there, but has his Brentford days come to an end?
And if they have, it seems to point to Manchester United then. But, Michael, Thomas Frank's arrival at Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there have been discussions throughout the last week to 10 days, Brentford and Tottenham Hotspur, very amicable discussions. Thomas Frank, coaching staff, and initial discussions over Brayan Mbeumo. I think for Brentford, it's getting the deal they want, is it? I don't think they're necessarily interested on the club he eventually joins. There's Anton Semenyo Spurs are looking at as well, and there's a number of players around Europe Spurs are looking at in those attacking positions. I think for Mbeumo, what I understand is he's quite intrigued by a potential prospect of reuniting with Thomas Frank. For me personally, I still think it does lean towards Manchester United. Gone are the days about they want to play in the Champions League, they want to play in Europe. It's still Manchester United at the end of the day. But what Tottenham do have on this side is one, yes, they've got Champions League football and a manager he knows ever so well in Thomas Frank. So it's very much a wait and see. It's an intriguing one, but he potentially does have a decision to make.
Does the arrival of Matthias Tell affect a potential deal in any way?
Nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Right.
Matisse Tell was always going to stay. Teams
there. We've got a whole hour with these two. To a player who's certainly proved he can hack it in the Premier League already. Brayan Mbeumo, what a season he had for Brentford. Will he be following his boss, Thomas Frank, out of the club, though? Could he be heading to either Tottenham or Manchester United this summer? We'll get the Spurs angle shortly, Michael. Let's start with you, Mark. Manchester United, long link with Brayan Mbeumo. Now they have competition for him. How confident will they be that they can sign him?
Well, they'll be really confident because there's been other Premier League sides that have also shown an interest in Brayan Mbeumo as well. And actually, he's turned them down to join Manchester United. So the late interest from Tottenham is a spanner in the works, but I don't think it will disrupt this potential deal. Manchester United, as far as they're concerned, are relaxed about the current situation. They believe that Brayan wants to join them in Old Trafford, so therefore they're confident, comfortable and relaxed with regards to his stance. You have to remember that Manchester United last week had their initial and first bid rejected by Brentford, which we understand to be a total of £55 million. Brentford looking for upwards of £60 million. So they're not a million miles away. You'd imagine that a second offer, which we said last week on Sky Sports News was being prepared, will be a lot closer to what Brentford are looking for. Brayan Mbeumo has 1 year left on his Brentford contract with a club option additional year. So essentially he's got a 2-year deal left. So it is going to be a sizable fee that Manchester United are going to have to pay. However, he's not the only target they're looking at. They would be naive if they were to only put all their eggs in one basket, because things change in football and things change very quickly, as Michael knows. So therefore, they do have other options. But right now, it looks like it's going to be a Manchester United situation for Brayan Mbeumo.